Natural selection is cutthroat. Humanity's existence has depended on eons of survival and adaptation, and a certain amount of serendipity to rise to become the dominant species on the planet. A strong survival urge propelled our ancestors to survive in spite of countless hardships over the last 3.8 billion years to give us life. How long then can humanity continue to survive into the future? Is it even likely? And is there an upper limit to how long a species can survive? Take back everything you said in high school about never needing calculus in real life, because we're about to use limit functions to predict the future, or at least to calculate the survivability of the human race. Using the survival function, along with known variables, we can estimate the survivability of many things: a car, a carton of milk, a company, an ill patient, and even a species. But before we get to that, what type of obstacles are there in our path to immortality? In my previous video, Existential Threats to Humanity and Their Solutions, I detailed the main threats to our survival. A brief summary can be seen here. Let's say we as a species endeavor to become collectively more rational, stop senseless violence, and focus on collaborating for mutual benefit. Ambitious, I know. And manage to survive all the major existential threats to our existence through our use of sophisticated technology and engineering. Though perhaps unlikely, it's not impossible that a sufficiently advanced civilization could survive until the distant future, at least up until all the stars in the universe cease to fuse in about 100 trillion years. So let's make an optimistic calculation to our survival as a species up until that time. The likelihood of extinction of the human race in any given year is about 1 in 14,000. So we have about a 99.99993 chance of the human race surviving any given year. Pretty good odds. But if we extrapolate that to the next 100 trillion years, our odds of survival go close to zero. In fact, at current survival rates, our odds of surviving as a species go to zero in less than 1.5 billion years. So our only hope of survival is increasing our odds. We only have to increase them to this number, to give us a 50-50 chance of surviving over the next 100 trillion years. Easy. We already know the main threats to our survival as detailed earlier. A reasonable conclusion you can make is that a well-designed, well-stocked, sustainable bunker/space-based vehicle can enable us to endure most threats to our survival. As we transition to a predominantly solar-powered, spacefaring society, and our energy supply surges, we can then run experiments pointing enough energy at a region of space from enormous particle accelerators to experiment with creating wormholes and trying to stabilize them with exotic matter, with negative mass, so that we can attempt to escape even the heat death of the universe, to perhaps live indefinitely. But ultimately, even if it were possible to escape the death of our universe, to the safety of a hospitable new universe, unless you can guarantee your survival, and nothing other than death and taxes appear to be guaranteed, our chances of survival as a species on a long enough timescale always goes to zero. Unless of course you have a repeating decimal. Ambitious technologies can be part of the answer to our collective challenges that threaten our survival, as long as we put them in perspective. However, we shouldn't be unrealistically optimistic. These threats and other deep-seated problems are hard to confront, and it's tempting to distract ourselves by hoping that technology can save the day. It's easy to misdiagnose the causes of our problems and hope for relatively painless solutions. But technology isn't magic and there are no quick fixes. So how can humanity survive the next 100 trillion years or so? Technology is part of the solution, perhaps, but mostly we have to find the answers through collective human will and effective action.